Fallout Season 2 is redeeming its biggest villains. But why? Fallout has never been about heroes. It pretends to be, sometimes. It dresses people up in jumpsuits, gives them rules, morals, slogans, rebuild civilization, save the future, protect humanity. But beneath all of that, Fallout has always been brutally honest about one thing. Civilization didn't end because people were evil. It ended because people believed they were right. That's why Episode 6 of Fallout Season 2, The Other Player, is so unsettling. Because this episode doesn't just show us villains doing bad things. It starts asking us something far more uncomfortable. What if they were right? At least a little. And once a story starts doing that, you're no longer just watching characters. You're being tested as a viewer. The end of the road trip and the end of certainty. By the time Episode 6 begins, Fallout has already quietly closed one chapter of its story. The buddy road trip is over. Lucy and the Ghoul are no longer on the same path, emotionally or morally. Episode 5 fractured that relationship, and Episode 6 forces both of them to sit alone with who they really are. Lucy is no longer the naive vault dweller, but she's not yet something new, and that in-between space, uncertainty, is where Fallout does its most dangerous work. Lucy confronts Hank, and everything goes wrong. On paper, Lucy's confrontation with Hank should be simple. She's armed, she knows the truth, he's exposed. This is the moment where the villain begs, lies, or lashes out. But Hank does none of that. Instead, he smiles. He doesn't resist when Lucy holds scissors to his throat. He doesn't call for help. He doesn't threaten her. He calmly handcuffs himself. And that single action flips the power dynamic completely, because Hank isn't afraid of Lucy. He knows her. Hank's real weapon isn't power, it's confidence. Hank's greatest strength in this scene isn't authority or technology, it's certainty. He is absolutely confident that Lucy won't kill him, confident she won't lose control, confident she still believes in order, and Lucy feels it. That hesitation, that pause, is where Fallout begins dismantling her growth. Because Lucy wants to believe she's changed, but Hank knows something she doesn't want to admit yet. She still believes civilization is worth saving, no matter the cost. Civilization versus the Wasteland, a core Fallout conflict. Fallout has always been obsessed with one question. Can civilization exist without control? The NCR believes structure brings peace. The Legion believes fear enforces order. Vault-Tec believes survival requires planning and sacrifice. Hank fits perfectly into this lineage. He doesn't see himself as a tyrant. He sees himself as a gardener. And Episode 6 puts Lucy directly in front of the evidence he's been using to justify himself for decades. The moment that shatters Lucy's certainty. Lucy isn't convinced by Hank's words. She's convinced by what she sees. Hank's staff recoils at the idea of returning to the surface. These aren't villains. They're people who understand what the Wasteland does to human beings. Then come the NCR and Legion soldiers. Two sides, one room, no supervision. The second they're free, they attack each other. No dialogue, no hesitation, just violence. Lucy doesn't stop them with diplomacy. She stops them by activating the control devices in their necks. And in that moment, without realizing it, she proves Hank's point. Lucy does what Hank would have done. This is the most important scene in the episode because Lucy doesn't agree with Hank, but she acts like him. She chooses control over chaos, order over freedom, safety over morality. Fallout doesn't tell us she's wrong. It lets us sit with the discomfort. Because the truth is terrifying, Hank's worldview survives because it works. This is why Hank is dangerous, not because he's evil. Hank isn't a cartoon villain. He's not cruel for pleasure. He's not violent for sport. He's worse. He's rational. He believes humanity cannot be trusted without oversight, and the Wasteland keeps proving him right. That doesn't make him correct, but it makes him persuasive. And persuasion is far more dangerous than force. Meanwhile, the Ghoul is clinging to his humanity. While Lucy is questioning her future, the Ghoul is fighting to hold on to his past. Episode 6 shows him remembering his family, not as symbols, but as people. This matters, because the Ghoul represents the opposite of Hank. Where Hank sacrifices humanity for order, the Ghoul sacrifices order to preserve humanity. And that's why the super mutant discards him. The super mutant's war and why the Ghoul refuses. The mysterious super mutant offers the Ghoul purpose, a war, a side, a cause, and the Ghoul refuses, not because the cause is wrong, but because it requires him to abandon what little humanity he has left. That choice costs him. He's discarded, left broken, and found by Maximus and Thaddeus, launching yet another uneasy alliance. Fallout loves these cycles. People collide, split apart, reform, but always around the same question: what are you willing to become to survive? Then comes Barb, and everything shifts. If Hank's storyline introduces doubt, Barb's storyline rewrites intent. Season 1 presented Barb as one of Vault-Tec's most chilling figures. Calm, efficient, willing to end the world. But episode 6 reframes that moment completely, and that's dangerous territory. Vault-Tec was never about safety, only control. The Vault-Tec flashbacks are deliberately grotesque. Marketing teams debating apocalypse aesthetics, executives worried mushroom clouds might look too busy. This is the banality of evil. But Barb doesn't look triumphant anymore. She looks trapped. And the threat that changes everything. Wiltzig's reappearance is not nostalgia, it's a warning. He confronts Barb at the exact moment her loyalty begins to waver. She's already learned the truth about the vaults, already realized families will be sacrificed, already afraid for her own. Then Wiltzig delivers the line that recontextualizes everything. If you forget your place in the company, you'll die. Not metaphorically, literally. The bombs were never Barb's idea. They were her leash. Wiltzig gives Barb instructions: who will be in the room, what she will say, how the sentence must end. The only way to guarantee results is, Barb finishes it, by dropping the bombs ourselves. The same line from season 1, but now it doesn't sound cold, it sounds terrified. Does this redemption go too far? This is where Fallout risks undermining itself. Barb becomes a desperate mother, not an architect of annihilation. She's still complicit, but no longer monstrous. And that shift matters, because Fallout's power has always come from its refusal to soften corporate evil. Vault-Tec didn't stumble into destruction, it planned it. So when the show humanizes Barb, it walks a razor's edge. Complexity is good, justification is dangerous. Lucy and Barb, two sides of the same dilemma. Lucy and Barb are mirrors, both believe in systems, both fear chaos, both want to protect people they love. The difference is time. Barb made her choice before the bombs fell. Lucy is making hers after. And Fallout is daring us to ask, would Lucy eventually become Barb? Where this leaves Fallout, and us episode 6 doesn't redeem villains. It destabilizes certainty. Hank isn't absolved, but he's understandable. Barb isn't innocent, but she's human. And Lucy stands at the edge of a choice. Either she returns to Vault logic, control at all costs, or she finally rejects the lie that civilization must be enforced to survive. Final thought, Fallout is testing the audience. The other player isn't about Hank. It isn't about Barb. It's about us. Fallout asks a question no apocalypse story ever wants to answer honestly. If the world ends tomorrow, what kind of evil would you justify today? Because the most dangerous villains aren't monsters. They're people who convince themselves there's no other way. And Fallout has always warned us. That's how the world ended the first time.